Man, oh man, do I got a deal for you. I'll give you $1,000. And in return, I'll own you for life.
Sir, what's up in your world?
Well, we were we were really dumb. And we went and got not just one payday loan, not just two, we have 4 out.
Oh, my goodness.
And
you were desperate, weren't you?
Yes, we were very desperate, but now we're even in bigger desperation mode as we are watching the payoff. We've got one that we've paid. We owed $1,400 and we've already paid $1,500 on it, and we've only made $100 into the balance.
Okay. And so what is...
Sound fair, right? Don't think about it too much. Just act now. Quick thing.
Hey, I don't know about y'all, but I've had to take out some loans in my life. Student loan debt, car loan, crazy high interest rates. My credit was cheeks. I was always blessed enough to have a decent day job to reduce that burden. Not everyone is that fortunate, though. That, plus the pandemic, plus a recession, creates a situation where a massive national industry gets to claim another victim. We got to take a closer look at the dark side of the personal loan industry. Pun intended.
And they always catch you at your weakest moments. It's always when you feel like your job is very secure, very stable. Anybody can fall at any given moment. No matter how secure your job, how secure you think your job is, you could be next. An emergency happens, you don't have enough money saved up. It's always good when it comes to your money, you play on the defensive. And then, once you have, that little buffer room, 3 to 6 months worth of expenses, the goal should be at least. I know everyone has their own situation and different liabilities and shit, but bro, 5 to 10K saved up in the bank account, that sense of peace of mind just puts you at ease. Okay.
Late 2010s, I lived on the west side of Atlanta off Hollowell Parkway, which used to be known as... As you probably could have guessed, we was in the hood. Now, even though my block was gentrified with a bunch of old but decent houses, all I had to do to spot a crackhead was walk over to the laundromat. I lived in a house with 2 women back then, neither of whom I was dating, and we had this mouse that camped out behind our stove. As the only man in the house, it was my job to take care of this, right? So I got a mouse trap and some peanut butter, and I got rid of the first one, but then we quickly discovered that there was some kind of hole behind the cupboards or something like that. It kept getting in, so it was all bad. Anyway, part of the hood adjacent experience is the ubiquity of payday loan and title loan spots. I'm going to get into more detail later, but basically you can get a loan with no credit check, bad credit, whatever, or put your car up as collateral, and you're usually expected to pay it back within 2 weeks, hence payday loan. These loans tend to come with a very high APR, or annual percentage rate. That number determines how much you pay over the next 12 months. So the longer you have that loan, the more you ultimately have to pay. And that tends to trap borrowers in a debt spiral. Paying these loans back within those 2 weeks is much less doable for these low-income borrowers that they target with the bad credit welcome and no credit check advertisements. And that's exactly why they're called predatory. Now, I've never really been to any of these places, and that's my privilege talking. But for this piece, I got much more familiar. There's a couple of spots around here, and there's a lot in Atlanta. So let's check them out.
We have the tapes. We have the information.
I can't even begin to explain to you how vulnerable you feel the day your source of income or the day an emergency hits and you're unprepared. Start thinking about all the clothes you bought, all the food you bought, and how that food or those clothes are helping you now.
This life has no duplicate. Enjoy yourself, pop all the champagnes, eat all the eatables, drink all the drinkables. Anything, just enjoy yourself, guys.
There was a time where, bro, I was like in heavy credit card debt, right? And I'm looking at all the clothes I had. I'm like, bro, even if I wanted to sell these clothes, I most likely could not sell them at the same cost that I bought them. So it's like, bro, be on the defensive with your money, at least until that emergency savings fund is built up. You have 1K worth of expenses per month. Yo, you try to have 6K to 10K saved up. Obviously, it's a privilege to even be able to save that amount of money. But if it means going back to live with your parents for a while, I have a friend who recently moved to Montreal, right? And his game plan is basically like, yo, during the winter months when it's like not too exciting, he's gonna live with his parents. And then during the summer months, he might sublet a place to get some of that freedom a little bit back, right? while he has, because his new job led him to Montreal. So it's like, okay, a little bit of sacrifice, a little bit of inconvenience. It's not always the most beneficial if you're trying to, you know, get intimate with a woman or whatever, to have to be living with your parents. Imagine you're with your parents, that girl's with her parents. It's like, where is there to do anything, you know, intimate? But it just comes with the territory of having that financial stability to set you up for life. And again, I understand that not everyone is privileged to live with parents who are not toxic or not controlling or not like all up in your business, but still sociable, right? But it's just asking. It's one thing to ask your friends for money or borrow money from them. It's another thing to go. Someone is charging you interest on top of the money you don't even have yet. I've always been like, yo, before you buy a new set of clothing, before you eat out, or before you have like a certain thing, always have a certain savings goal in mind before you are going to do extra things, right? If you have no goal in mind of the next savings goal or next savings target, you'll always be in that cycle of just carelessly spending your money.
Problem is that they're taking advantage of people who are already desperate.
Brown says she was instructed to tell customers that their title loans were just like paying off a credit card and would go toward the original amount owed. The problem? They're actually just paying off the interest.
But the fact is, TitleMax misled plenty of employees in order to mislead the community. She can't talk, she can't walk, she can't eat, she can't write, she can't fear herself and repo her vehicle. It was less than $1,000 what she owed, you know, and I'm like, why are we doing this? You know, to the lady, you know, like her life is more important than this bill.
Now, luckily for us, payday loans have been illegal in Georgia since '04, when they put a 10% cap on small loans, small being under $3,000. Not only that, but Georgia made it an aggravated misdemeanor to be caught giving these loans out anywhere in the state. But one, that doesn't mean it's not still happening. And two, that's not the case in other states, unfortunately. Let's start right here in the A. We might not have any payday loan spots, but we definitely have auto title loan spots like TitleMax all over the place. In February of last year, they got fined $15 million for violating Georgia's laws that protect military families from predatory lenders. They allegedly issued 2,670 auto title loans to various military families over the course of 5 years. That's over 10 a week. This violated not only Georgia's laws, but their own company policies. That ain't the only time either. In 2016, they got fined $9 million for operating deceptively in Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama. There's over 200 locations in the state and 14 right here in Atlanta. So as you can see, just because something's illegal doesn't mean it ain't happening. All right, let's hit my home state, Florida. Now, let me tell y'all something about Florida that you might already know. Their governor is interesting.
They have stuff about intersectionality, abolishing prisons. That's a political agenda.
Payday loans are 100% legal there, and it becomes painfully obvious if you take one step in every college student and Instagram model's respective vacation destinations, Fort Lauderdale and Miami. As y'all can see, there's roughly the same amount of locations in both cities, 19 or 20. I think Miami might have the edge. I actually lived in Fort Lauderdale for 2 weeks at the beginning of last year. And then I moved away because that city is a mess. You run into a strip mall every couple blocks with a payday loan center right in the middle of it, or somebody stealing from Walmart. Next up, Texas, baby. Side note, you can literally get approved for a loan with no credit check online in some states. Your rate can get as high as 740% in Texas, where payday loans are legal to this day. To put that loan in
Bruh.
You cannot trick me. You cannot trick me.
Bruh. 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 It's a constant battle of not being comfortable. You know? Because you never ever know. You never know. You never know what could happen. Loss of income, unexpected expense. Like, you see people living in all these like nice houses, have nice cars. You don't even know that they're house poor. They're barely making the mortgage payment every month. And it's like, It's a cold world out there. It's a cold world.
Real money terms. If you borrowed $1,000 for a car repair or to cover bills while your spouse is out of work, at 740% APR, you owe $1,283.84 at the end of that 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, your debt ballooned by 28%. And you can always extend that loan, right? But that finance charge is now over 60% with convenience fees sprinkled on top. Tell them why, Cam. Their governor is also interesting.
He referred to the victims of a Cleveland mass shooting as illegal migrants.
I'm noticing a trend. Now, for residents that make minimum wage, and even for some who don't, they cannot cover that interest charge within 2 weeks. And the loan companies know this.
Have a car, a title, then you're on Title Max's list to get the cash you need.
You got $1,000.
$4,000. $10,000.
I know, right? I think I made my point, but here's all the states where payday loans are still legal. For my American viewers, let's play Find Your Home State.
When I'm on the phone, why you always in a rap? Kill my old exes like Corona with a crush. Try to show you difference. Learning is a must, girl. Why you always mad? Fire burning, we discuss why. You and Shanti and John Tucker must die. Yeah, you that thick. It's not a compliment. On the deeper side of arguments, you not equipped. You like a toy car. I'm on a rocket ship.
You saw yours, didn't you?
Worst.
All right, we're going to stay in Texas and set the scene. When you default on a payday loan, it messes up your credit, which makes it harder to borrow money, harder to get a job, and in some cases, harder to find somewhere to live. When you default on an auto title loan, your car gets repossessed. Now, any of y'all who know what it's like to lose a car, like me, I got T-boned one time and had to go without a car for months and months on end. It really messes up your life. It's a massive expense. Not only do you have to ride the train in some cases, or get a lot of Ubers, which is a huge expense that you did not plan for, but it inconveniences the entire family. I don't have kids, so for somebody who does have kids and they got to get places too, that burden has to be heavy as hell. I can't even imagine.
I just know what it's like when I'm living with my parents in the suburbs, right? Public transportation is so, it's not even so like expensive, crazy. It just everything feels so far away. Everything feels so far away.
Hell no, no.
It's one thing if you live downtown, right? You know, everything is pretty accessible. Like grocery stores there, buses are coming like every 5-10 minutes or so, allegedly supposed to be, right? The trains are accessible. But you're in the suburbs and you get your car repossessed, the car towed, or your ability to transport here and there. Like if you don't even have a G1 or G2 or like a license, bro, and you don't work from home or your job is not remote, it's so inconvenient. It's so inconvenient. It's so inconvenient. Like, not to sound like holier than thou, right? It's like, sometimes I just look at people like who have like kids and they like, I've seen, you know, when you're in your community, you see people on a regular basis, right? It's like, bro, you have 2 kids, 2 young kids, and the bus is the main way by which you're going from place to place. It's not even just the bus, it's the waiting in the cold, especially if you're like in a cold winter environment. Waiting in the fucking cold. But I would say it's like sometimes you have to really be broke or poor or like to really appreciate it, because you don't understand your freedom, you don't understand your privilege, you don't understand the value of having a robust savings account or the value of possibly sucking it up and living with your parents for a while until you go through some bullshit like this. If you can't pay it in cash, you don't need it. That's really the rule of thumb. If you can't pay it in cash, you don't need it.
Stay with me for this part because it's important. It's not for some hard data. This is the study. It's in the description. And here's the numbers. Payday loans wreaked absolute havoc on Texans from 2012 to 2021, which you'll notice included the pandemic. $1.6 billion in annual gross product lost. $1 billion in personal income gone. Picture all the economic impact you make working for a full year at your job. All the things you buy, all the activities you participate in the economy. Multiply that by 21,304. Wiped out. All because of these loans. It affects every industry too, but the hardest hit, retail trade, which includes restaurants. And get this, Black and Latino people made up 45% of the total population of Texas in 2019 when this study was conducted. They made up 71% of auto title loan customers and 74% of payday loan customers. The math ain't mathin'. Sums up. This was really gonna piss y'all off. These loan businesses snatched up $45 million in PPP funds during the pandemic. Then They turned around and gave us loans with APRs from 200 to 500%. Okay, I got a interesting story. It was during the pandemic when the stimulus checks went out the first round. I went to AMC the next day to watch a movie. I go to the movie by myself all the time. This was at Phipps Plaza Mall. I don't know if y'all know, but that's like the premier mall in Atlanta. They got all the high fashion boutique stores that I never shop at, Coach, Gucci, etc. And so I'm walking past these stores on my way to AMC. I forgot which movie it was, but it was bad, whatever I did go see. And I bring this up because it's the one time that a line stretching around the corner from Gucci meant that people weren't going into debt. They were actually making it rain government money, which I approve of. If you're going to buy that, don't put it on the credit card. There's probably 3 people typing right now about how I hate black people. Let's make fun of Montel Williams.
If you need extra cash for an emergency or any other reason, call Money Mutual. Money Mutual has over 100 short-term lenders who can lend up to $1,000, and they can put that money directly in your checking account in as little as 24 hours. That can give you a little cushion.
That's a bullshit. This applies to more than just black people, but we're really easily influenced by celebrity endorsements. Apparently, all you gotta do is put Saweetie's face on the bag, and people will eat actual garbage. That's for another day, though. Moral of the story, stop listening to famous people because 9 times out of 10, they don't know what the they're talking about.
Let alone the fact that it's usually just a paid promotion, right? Especially if they themselves don't have knowledge in that field of study. Bro, I'm not listening to you about financial advice. By the end of the day, no matter what any celebrity is telling you to buy or purchase, it has to be money that you are willing to lose. Money that does not affect your bottom line. That's why when it comes to all these like online courses or online products, bro, invest in all the online products you have. But you should not be pouring from an empty cup. The savings account that you have in there should not be what you're using to pay for the course, to pay for all the business expenses.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
I am disgusted.
No, 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 no.
You have a fortress, right, of money in your accounts that is for your personal expenses. That's for your the roof over your head, the food that you're gonna eat, the money to pay for your gas, all that stuff. Whatever it is that if that's 1,500 per month, bro, you need at least 7,000 or 5,000 or some couple of months, a little 2 or 3 months minimum of breathing room for you to like be okay. And it should not be that should not be the money that you're using to buy the courses, that you're using to invest in whatever this XYZ celebrity is doing or saying to promote or saying to invest in.
That's my love language. I'm kisses down my back, starting from my neck.
It's my favorite part. Loan companies are delusional as hell when they're trying to defend themselves. Here's 2 communication spokespersons from Wells Fargo and Amegy Bank in Texas defending why they were primary investors in First Cash, a massive organization giving out pawn loans at 2,900 locations in the United States and Mexico. We are active in making loans and providing banking services to businesses that operate within the law, including local, state, and federal, and who fit within our risk appetite. We have relationships with companies that have demonstrated a strong, ongoing commitment and capability to comply with applicable laws and regulations to their business operations. What the accent was that? Notice they mentioned a strong, ongoing commitment to not going to prison, not to any kind of like company code or ethics. A bank is going to chase money. I get that. But it doesn't mean y'all got to be evil. Maybe I'm just being naive, though. While First Cash doesn't offer payday loans, they can charge up to 240% interest for their pawn loans. If you don't pay that back, they're taking your shit. Last point I want to make about these weak-ass defenses underlines the irony in all this. Loan sharking hails back to a practice called redlining, which was formalized in the United States in the 1930s. Essentially, it withheld loans, insurance, healthcare, and helped establish food deserts all over the United States. I used to live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, so I've seen the food desert problem firsthand. I lived there in late 2021 and most of 2022. It actually took some effort to get to a grocery store that I recognized, something like Kroger or whatnot. There were whole stretches of that city that didn't have the Publixes, the Krogers, the whatever your favorite chain is, Aldi's even, they just weren't there. It's because historically, high poverty areas, like a lot of Tulsa, even to this day, are discriminated against by people who provide this infrastructure and build these things in the first place. Now, where I lived at in Tulsa, there was a neighborhood grocery store that was established by people who lived in that community, black people who lived in that community. And so that was really dope to see. That brings us to reverse redlining, a term that describes how lending institutions target people in disadvantaged communities for high interest financial products. Sounds familiar, right? Lenders claim fees are reasonable based on borrowers' credit history. Unless you think several 100% on a loan is reasonable, that's bullshit. They also claim they're helping people in abandoned communities. If somebody tells you they're thirsty and you give them a poison water bottle, I don't consider that help. I don't know about y'all though. Now,
nope. 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 Hey yo. Got some water for you, man. It's just a little bit of bleach inside, but you know, I think you might like it. It's better than nothing, right? It's better than nothing, right? I know bleach isn't the best, but it's some liquid. You don't want to. I don't got any other water right now, but I think this might be the one for you. This might be the one for you.
Absolutely get targeted by loan sharks too. I've already pointed out how they congregate in urban city centers, usually in the poorer parts of town, aka where the Negroes live, due to socioeconomic discrimination, historical policy differences, etc. All that being said though, I think there's something we can do about it.
Is it safe to say it's over?
Hey, this is the part where I give y'all some game on how to avoid a debt trap. This is from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, not me. I am not a financial professional. I am just a YouTuber that paid down a lot of debt in 2023. This one seems obvious, but don't get a Payday or auto title loan if you have any other alternatives. Dead ass. Borrow from that relative you hate. You know what I'm talking about. Told you not to go to that Title Max. Take your ass home. If you absolutely must borrow as little as possible and pay it back on time if you can. Never use a loan to have walking around money. I made that mistake in college. I used to get 5-figure loans to cover tuition, books, etc., and add on $3,000 to $4,000 so I wouldn't be walking around campus like a broke boy. All that did was make sure I'd be paying these back until I'm dearly departed. Please subscribe. Now, if you have one of these loans already and you find yourself unable to pay at the end of that 2 weeks, you can stop them from taking that automatic payment out of your account. All you got to do is call or write the bank or call and write the company that gave you the loan and tell them, look, I'm trying to stop payment on blah, blah, blah. Give them an official order to do so. Alternatively, you can just pull up to the bank, tell them I want to issue a stop payment on this account. It'll cost you a fee, but I promise it's worth it. It's better than getting your daycare money snatched out from underneath you. That sucks. This last one is tedious, but ultimately these companies are legal in 29 states because they lobby the government. They spend millions of dollars a year convincing your congressman and your representative that, look, you can't ban us. We belong in this economy. We deserve to be taking money out of their pockets. I'm not naive enough to think that I can make one video and everybody's going to call their congressman or hit up their representatives and demand that payday loan and auto title loan companies get banned everywhere. I know that's not going to happen, but the first step to solving any problem is awareness. And now that y'all know, can't say I ain't tell you.
When it comes to managing your credit card, bro, that is probably the thing that people take for granted the most. Because payday loans is one thing, but usually people get into credit card debt first. Once the credit card is maxed out, then they resort to even more drastic measures of trying to sustain their lifestyle, right? Again, for me personally, I always have a rule of thumb of 30%. If you have $1,000 in your credit card and you see your balance plus if you see your current balance plus pending transactions creeping up to, let's say, $300, you want to pay that balance in full completely to $0, or pay down under 10%. That would be $100 on a $1,000 credit card limit, so that you are constantly, it's basically like you are self-regulating your spending, right? So if you don't have money to keep using that credit card, you don't use the credit card, right? You resort to any type of cash you have on hand, using that, so that at the very least, you're not getting into more credit card debt. Because the interest, once it starts piling up, it comes at you like a tornado. It comes at you like an avalanche. It just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming and coming, with no end in sight. You feel like you're in a black hole. The interest rate, all that shit, bro. So when you self-regulate and have a self-imposed credit card limit of 30% of the full limit of $1,000, you find yourself not just randomly tapping or purchasing Uber Eats or anything else, so that the money that would have been going to the credit card or just paying or even the interest, you're actually building up that extra amount of savings so that you can be sustained in the event that your secure job no longer needs you, or God forbid some type of family emergency arises that requires additional resources and money to be put on that. In which case, in some cases where you can't even work the same amount of hours you were working before. You get. But yo, while you're still here, watch this other video right here on the hidden cost of moving in with your boyfriend or girlfriend. As always, if it doesn't feed you, don't water it, and too much of any good thing is good for nothing. Flip the script. I'm out. Deuces.